Welcome to How to Money with Cole and Cole.
I'm Cole.
And I'm Cole.
We coach people every day on their money and how to plan for the future.
As financial advisors, we're here to have an honest conversation and educate you on investing, retirement, and everything in between. And we'll throw in some sports talk along the way.
Our mission and goal of this podcast is to improve your money journey and help you create the financial life you deserve.
So let's talk money.
And sports.
Welcome back to How to Money with Cole and Cole. I'm Bailey Ashbrook, financial advisor at Central Financial Group, and happy to be into 2023.
2023.
Let's go.
Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, Cole Peterson, partner investment advisor representative for Central Financial Group, and I don't want to talk about the Broncos.
Cole Jaskey, financial advisor. My team's trending up, so I would talk about the Steelers right now.
Yeah. They won last week?
Yeah.
They got a shot.
Won
Okay.
6 out of the last 8.
Let's go.
So trending up. Need some help to get in the playoffs, but it could happen. It's
Optimistic.
How about those Panthers, Caleb?
Let's not talk about them either. Caleb Westall, producer of How to Money with Cole and Cole, works for Spin Market and Digital. Excited for 2023. I know there's some big things happening in my life, and good year in 2022, so hopefully it continues into 2023.
Yeah.
You had 2022 was marriage, and 2023 will be baby and possibly house.
Hopefully.
Oh, those are
Wow.
big stages.
That's
I
something.
know.
a lot going
We
on
just
over there.
packed it all in a
Monumental.
couple of years.
We did
Yeah.
the same thing, don't worry.
Yeah.
Well, we're excited to be here, new year. I'm excited to get a full year under the belt hosting the podcast with these awesome guys. Came in late last year. I was
Best decision the podcast ever made.
talking about this before, and Caleb does such a great job making us sound great, so it makes it so much fun. So
Right.
thank you,
And Caleb took it like a champ when I suggested that we move hosts, and Caleb was like, yeah, that's a great idea. Because Caleb was kind of a fish out of water, trying to talk about finances when he doesn't do finances. So I appreciate that and commend you on
Hey,
taking
no
that.
problem.
Way to be
Like
a
champ.
team player.
I
there,
understand
Caleb. Team
when
player.
I'm not the person for the job.
Yeah.
And it would be like, in how we do it now, Bailey can add like sentences and actually give good transitions. And then for me, it'd be like, Cole would be talking, all of a sudden he'd be like, okay. And I'll be like, okay, next question.
yeah. No
Works good.
feedback. Go on. I'll give you I listen to a lot of podcasts, Caleb, and I was thinking about this, and I'm not trying to be weird. You could do this full time. You are so good at editing and the sound. Like, we sound so good because of you. Like, I think that all the
little
time.
plug for their team.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, seriously. It sounds incredible.
That is Cheryl's goal for us, is that this become my full-time thing. So
Awesome.
That would be
got to get enough
awesome
people
job.
to do it.
All right. Well, we're excited. We're going to talk a lot of stuff this year, new guests, better content, but we do like to talk about sports. So we do want to recognize something that's going on currently. Cole P.
Yeah, so I think we've all heard the Damar Hamlin injury that happened on Monday night in the Bills-Bengals game. So it was highly touted game of the year. First quarter, Damar goes down and they're doing CPR. It looks like a life or death situation, and the game ultimately is postponed. And by good measure, I know that they were thinking about putting the players back on the field, but I think it was something that the NFL finally came to their senses and said, we can't do this to these guys. So we want to recognize that we are thinking and praying for Damar Hamlin and his family, and hope that everything comes out okay. And it gave a lot of perspective on life and this silly game that we all like to watch and
Obsessed with.
yeah. And are kind of obsessed with. But I was watching the coverage with my wife. We didn't actually see it when it happened, but we were both like, wow, like they can't continue. I couldn't imagine being a player and trying to continue after you watch that in front of you. Makes
your problems feel pretty small at times, right? And you look at that and talk about just a game, right? It's just a game, and then it turns into a all of a sudden a life or death situation there, and just not easy for anyone involved. You can see how distraught the players were, and even the analysts. Like, I imagine like that them like what they're doing, and then you hear them talk about his mother in the stands come down, and like I can't, as a parent, that's what first thing you go is
So
like, I can't
young.
imagine my child out there and going through that situation. So yeah, prayers to everyone involved, and on hope for the best. And Caleb, we were talking off air. It sounds like there's some
Good.
decent news. I don't know, really what it is, but
I mean, they haven't said much, but what they have said has been good news. So hopefully it continues, and we hopefully he makes it. So
And there's some good that might come out of this
Yeah.
as far as the GoFundMe page for his mother.
yeah, so he had a GoFundMe page he had created like last year during the pandemic. His mom runs a daycare, and it was for $2,500 for toys for this underfunded daycare, basically. And it had been a little over $2,500. As of this morning, I looked right before we recorded. It's over $6 million donated. So
That's wild.
that's
unbelievable.
pretty crazy. It's cool to see that there is good people in the world who want to do what they can. Some people can't do anything, but
There's always
to
good.
help him physically, but
Yeah.
they can give to that. So that's pretty cool. But
It always takes something really traumatic sometimes for people to put things in perspective or come together. And it's sad that sometimes it takes something like that. But I always think if we chip away all year and do good stuff like that, just because, think about where we could be as a society, you know?
yeah.
Yeah. And we're taping this as of Wednesday morning, January 4th. So if there are some updates that come out before this is aired, just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So.
But prayers, we're thinking of them.
Yep.
All right. We're ready for the new year. Guys, lots of changes. 2023 Secure Act 2.0. Let's educate some listeners. What do you think? There's a lot going on. So let's
Ton in it.
Yeah.
Right. Before we get into the Secure Act 2.0, let's talk a little bit. We mentioned this on the podcast
Yes.
as far as the state taxes on retirement distributions going away for Iowa. So any of our listeners that are outside of Iowa, you'll have to check on your state tax code. But as far as retirement plan distributions, so we're talking about, there was never any state tax on Social Security, but pension plans, IPERS being one of the biggest ones, and IRA distributions and pension distribution, just all kinds of anything you take out of a retirement plan.
Yeah, action step right there for our listeners, right? If you are taking a retirement plan distribution, call that institution where that money's coming from and confirm your tax withholding. Maybe have a brief conversation with your tax advisor or whoever gives you tax advice, but call. And, I've had multiple conversations already where people are asking, and, we're starting to see people that get distributions at the beginning of the month. We're into a new tax year, and where it's January 4th, right? Yeah, January 4th. I was making sure. We got to write 2023 now on everything, right? You always see how many 2022s we get, and you cross that out. So action step for the listeners.
I think that's a good theme for this too, is like, this will be a lot of information, but this is going to be a very action step podcast. It's a new year. There's lots of changes, and it's a good time to think and get your mindset. What do I need to do for my financial situation? What's changing or upcoming changes are coming? So what else you got?
Yeah.
Cole?
So just to sum up that action step, they're not going to, IPERS won't automatically, or we don't know if they're going to automatically eliminate you having state tax withheld from your distribution. Everyone that I've talked to is no, they need to call and update that themselves. Otherwise, we'll withhold the state taxes. So what happens if you don't do it? They'll withhold the state taxes still, and then next year when you file your taxes, you'll get a refund from the state for that amount. So I'm always a proponent of use the money now and not have to have it sent to the state government and then get it back. So
yeah, it's
Get
your
a little
money.
net increase, a little net increase in your pay, your net paycheck. So
yeah. So another great update for or upgrade for our retirees that are drawing Social Security. There was a 8.7% increase in your Social Security payment. So you should see that on your January payment. You should see that increase. And yeah, I know my parents are happy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it just means stuff's more expensive, so here's a little more money to be able to
it's
afford
a good
it.
and bad thing, right?
Yeah.
That's nice. But I think in our with our customer base for the most part, now everything's gone up, but I think relatively living in the Midwest,
It is.
you're a little more insulated to some of those really really big increases and things. So I think it will be a big help to a lot of our listeners and clients, and help their bottom line or floor income.
Yeah.
Well, inflation has really slowed too with interest rates
Exactly.
being increased. I know that building costs and housing costs and even car costs have come down dramatically over the last 3 months. So it is something that you get that increase. I mean, it's better than not getting it, I guess.
Yeah. No, I wasn't trying to be negative.
And it's
It is good.
it's interesting. I don't want to get sidebarred too much, but the interest rate of how much the Fed impacts the overall economy, you can see the moves that they've made, directly in like the job market, all kinds of markets of like things have gotten tighter, and then certain areas where supply constraints have loosened up and prices have come to more normalized levels. People don't like to see it, but it's having somewhat of a positive,
a good impact in the long run.
long term.
Short
It's always
restriction.
painful going through it. So.
Anything worth that helps is always painful going through it.
Yep.
And then at the end, that's like anything in life.
Yeah.
All right, let's pivot. Secure Act 2.0.
Right. So
signed.
Secure Act 2.0 signed legislation was done on December 26, 2022. So what their whole plan with this, or I think what their plan is, I guess I'm not in the government.
Did you read the 4,000 page document or whatever it comes up?
No.
No.
Said, guys, listen.
I did not. I've read several articles on it, but they're trying to set people up for a better retirement. Is basically what they're trying to do. Is they're trying to come up with better rules around retirement plan distributions, retirement plan contributions, everything like that. So one of those that I really like is the auto enroll in the 401k plan. So right now, if you're eligible for a 401k plan, you have to actually either go online, enroll yourself, pick your contribution amount, pick your investments, and some people just never do it.
Correct.
And so now and this is in 2025, I believe.
Yep. 2025 is when the automatic enrollment comes into play. That'd be for plans that were started. There's going to be some, just like any other legislation, there's always after interpretation, right? We make the rule and then there's some nuances and changes to it because they find there's some issues. But yeah, a lot of this stuff is, some of it's impacting right now today, some of it's in the future. So, but I think the automatic enrollment starts in 2025. So that'd be new plans going. So if there's people that are looking to start a plan or whatever it might be, that'd be, a big impact. And, it's going to be a huge impact on the retirement savings long term. And it has an escalation feature in that as well, where if it's automatic enrolled, then it's 1% each year automatically. And
meaning your contribution will go up every year without doing anything. It's just going to go up, and there's a cap.
So people have to opt out of that. So I think it's going to be a really, long-term, very beneficial thing because people had never saved, and we all know those people that I've had a 401k offered me at work and never got in. You're like, darn it. You would have just did that 3-5% and, the bucket of money people,
especially young people, will be very good for that. Don't educate. There's no education around it. So that's awesome. That's one change. And then there's a business credit change that's coming. And we kind of are working on a little 401k campaign, helping you get started. How could that help someone? Or explain that, Cole J.
So there's been some tax credits in the past for startup plans. So if you're an employer looking to start a plan, or someone that's a decision maker in a business looking, there's basically the full startup cost of a 401k plan can be applied back to you in the form of a tax credit.
So if I own a business, I want to start a 401k, there's some costs that come with that. So you're telling me I can get a credit back.
Yep. And there's cost. I mean, that's the one downfall with the 401ks. There's a few things on the front end, administrative. You got to do some selections, some decision making, but there is some costs generally depending on the size of the business, how many employees are going to be in it. But yeah, you can start a plan at, net no cost.
Yeah, that's
for
huge.
you. Have a startup, have a benefit for your employees. Obviously, you'd have to select some things in the plan, but pretty awesome for anyone that's looking to at least get their feet wet in the 401k area.
Yeah, the tax credit goes from a 50% tax credit of the cost to 100%. So now you're getting credited back that full cost. So if it costs you $5,000 to set it up, you used to get a tax credit of $2,500. Obviously, now you get the full tax credit of $5,000.
And we're kind of working on that right now, is just evaluating your plans and making sure they're okay. And it just retention of employees and helping people save and setting them up for success is just so important. So what other changes are coming, guys?
So another one that's going to affect a lot of retirees is the RMD age is going to increase. There's a gradual increase, but basically it's going to go from 72 to 75. So when they did Secure Act 1.0, it went from 70.5 to 72, and then now it's going from 72 to 75. A couple of factors that go into that is people are living longer. People are taking distributions longer, and they want to make sure that people aren't forced to take money out of their IRAs, that they don't need to take money out until that age of 75. Like I said, it'll be gradual. Get with your financial advisor if you haven't, and you're getting into that age range because it doesn't affect everybody that's already if you're already taking your RMDs, unfortunately, it doesn't affect you. And if you're in those ages around 72, 73, 74, it's probably not going to affect you. But if you're 65, 66,
down the road,
it is going to be something where you will be able to put those distributions off longer.
I'm going to challenge you because not everyone knows what an RMD is, because I have people I've called last week and I'm like, hey, you need to take your RMD. And they're like, well, what's that? What is it, Cole J?
I know
can I tell a funny
story? So
please do.
I have a new assistant, Alexa, and she's amazing. She's learning. This business is tricky for someone who's never been in this business, and She thought I was saying R and D. So like the and sign, R and D. And I saw it on a note or something. I'm like, do you know it's RMD? And I explained, and I went through and I said, but RMD is required minimum distribution. So that basically what that is, the brief explanation is if you have a pre-tax, retirement-based bucket and you are 72 years or older and you have a balance still in there, the IRS requires you to take X amount of dollars based on a chart they put out each year. And it's calculated every December 31st from there on out until there's a zero balance. Basically what it is you got a deduction for putting the money in on the front end. Now the government, the IRS is saying, hey, we want you to pay some tax on some of those
I want
dollars.
my money back. I want my money back.
So most of the time people are like, oh, dang it, that sucks. They want you to save and then they force you to take it out. So it's, but that's what it is. So we take that for granted. Sometimes everyone knows our lingo. And
I just like to, for the listeners, I like to include everyone because I'm sure some people are listening like, wait, that just flew by me. What does that mean? So it doesn't pertain to everyone, but yeah, thank you for that. All right, another change. I'm excited about this. I know Colby, like not everyone's, but 529 is the Roth. Who wants to explain that one?
Yeah. Right. So the rule used to be, you had to use the 529 for educational expenses. That was it. That was it. Otherwise, you had to take some sort of tax hit if you took the money out. Now, if you don't use the 529 plan, so a 529 plan is for saving for education expenses, whether it be private school when they're growing up or college expenses. If you don't use it for that, you're allowed to roll up to $35,000 to a Roth IRA for that kid, basically that beneficiaries. Who I'm trying to think of the name. So you can so I'll just take my situation. So I have Joseph as my 12-year-old. If I never use any of his 529 for college expenses, and I don't want to switch the beneficiary and make it one of the twins or anything like that. And say I have $32,000 in that 529 plan, and I know that we're not going to use it for educational expenses, I can roll that to a 529 or to a Roth IRA for Joseph and give him a good start on his retirement.
Right,
savings.
and that could just sit and grow for the time being because we hear that a lot.
That's the old what happens if they don't use it? I save the money. What happens if they don't use it, Bailey?
I want to save for my kids' education, but what if they don't use it? And it is a good valid point because we never know where college is going or if they go into a trade or whatnot. So I'm like, in my mind, and this is great, now I'll save for the kids' education to a point, and there's stipulations on that rolling over. But if they never use it, I don't think, oh gosh, now I'm penalized. I'm just going to switch to their name and down the road. You're welcome, Damick. Welcome. Just kidding.
Right.
Sorry, twins. You don't get any money, I guess. No, that's a lot. You have something?
Well, no, I was just going to say that another thing that came out of the Secure Act that I like is they're increasing the catch-up contributions. So people over the age of 50 and between the ages of 60 and 63 are able to defer more money to their 401ks, IRAs, things like that. So, that acceleration wasn't real meaningful. You could, for an IRA, you can only do $1,000 more if you're over the age of 50, and it's like, okay, come on, only
make a difference,
right? It wasn't a big difference, but I think in the years coming, it will be able to people to accelerate their retirement savings towards those years between 50 and 65 are very important in saving. So
I think it's a good action step if you're in that age. How much am I saving this year?
You took the words out of my mouth.
Actions.
I was like, I was just thinking,
Twins.
I'm like, we've got a lot of content here.
Yes.
And I think it's a great, easy action step would be like, hey, let's have a review on what contributions, what my tax withholdings, whatever it might be.
What vehicles am I in?
Yes. Having those conversations and, the new Year's resolutions.
I love
all
New
that
Year
stuff,
goals. We'll get to that.
Great. That's a great action step for people in their personal finance. Like go talk to your advisor, go talk to your plan administrator or whoever and have that conversation.
I'm going to tangent on this. How important to walk by along with someone like an advisor who studies and keeps up to date, because this is overwhelming for anyone, all these changes. So I think it just shows the importance of planning, being actionable, and walking alongside someone.
they're kind of overwhelming for us.
Yeah,
I was just
saying, honest truth. Yeah,
we're like looking through them.
Yeah, like, oh, hey, do you know this
new
nuance? Yeah, we both each time we read through it, or we'll kind of pick something out and then we educate each other on it. And like, oh, that's another little caveat to it, and it changes our planning goals and what we're kind of talking about with clients.
Lots of changes, which is great. We'll take a quick break and we'll come back with some dollars and cents.
Whoop, whoop.
This podcast is produced by Spin Market and Digital.
Located in Fort Dodge, Iowa, Spin Market's highly skilled team can help you increase your market, by updating your website, improving SEO, designing advertisements, and producing podcasts that will grab the attention of your market.
Contact Spin Market today for all your digital marketing needs at digitalagent@spinmarketwith2ks.com or call us at 515-302-8026. And to learn more, visit our website at www.spinmarketwith2ks.com.
That's digitalagent@spinmarket.com or 515-302-8026 or visit our website www.spinmarketwith2ks.com.
All right, we're back, and we were just kind of sidebarring about the Bills game and how it's going to impact the playoffs, and we just got onto it. Can you imagine the intense meetings they're having right now to figure out how to handle the situation now?
Everything. I mean, the medical side, then you got the logistics of the business side. I know that's the least important thing, but it's
and
there's
some
impacts.
people, unfortunately, it's the most important
there's
thing.
impacts everywhere on that, and logistically, it'll be interesting to see. I'm glad I'm not a decision maker there making those calls.
No great answer.
No.
I mean, we just came up with how many scenarios during our break here, and we're like, well,
10.
What
Yeah.
do you do? Yeah. I
It's
mean,
like record this, guys.
either going to have to push everything back 1 week or, it doesn't. You can't give both teams a win, I don't think, in my opinion. You can't give them a tie. You can't give them a loss. So it's like, okay, what are we going to do?
People just need to accept it's like just such a terrible situation. There's no good outcome. Like it unfortunately is going to be
Someone's gonna be
skewy and
disgruntled.
someone's
Yeah.
going to get the short end of the stick, but you could be DeMar, so why don't you just go on with it? But yeah.
The good thing is both teams are in the playoffs,
Yeah.
so it's not like it's going to affect them.
And both teams,
right?
Both
it's just
teams are going to
seeding.
get a home game because they're going to win their divisions. So
Yeah. So
one's going to get a bye and one's not.
No.
The
Just
Chiefs
the
are gonna
one
get the bye.
seed gets a bye.
That's what I said. That whoever gets that one seed gets
Yeah.
the bye. So
Yeah.
that's where they're both one. They both are like, it's important for them to have the one seed. That's the big advantage of the NFL playoffs. So
I would not want to be an NFL executive this week.
No. Or
and my
the
Steelers,
PR.
my Steelers, could be playing one of those
Oh,
two teams.
boy.
So they need a loss by the Dolphins and the Patriots.
Do you
And
remember
they got to beat the Browns?
About 3 episodes ago when me and you were having a competition for the number 1 pick, and now you might make the playoffs?
I know, it's crazy, man. Our quarterback is trending. His trajectory is looking good, and the team's playing pretty hard. But having Watt back, it makes
That's
a
been
difference.
huge.
He's been back the back half of the season, and they're 6-2 the last 8 games. So, it's
Should we
crazy
make-
that one player
Yeah.
can have that impact.
It is. One person can make a difference.
Yeah, and
Look at me
I
tying
saw
all this
something the
into
other
new
day.
goals.
Mike Tomlin has 15 years in a row of winning records, and
Wow.
It's amazing.
there's only 3 coaches, and they're like George Halas, Bill Belichick, and like the top coaches of all time that have that long of a streak. So it's kind of big for just the Steelers and Mike Tomlin too to win that game and go 9-8.
They've had 3 coaches in like 70 years or something like that. It's
Wow.
like crazy. Yeah, it's like
Chuck
a stable
Noll.
organization.
Mike Tomlin is
don't
probably
Bill
the-
Cowher.
Mike
Yeah.
Tomlin is probably the most underrated coach in the NFL.
We were just talking about this too. You can be fired, like 2 coaches fired. It's just like such an intense world to live
Yep.
in. Like bad season, fired.
He's not a like a big X's and O's like bark, when he gets on media. So like people don't think he's that. I don't think, but he's obviously a great leader internally, and the players love him. So, which is cool, and I'm proud to be a fan of the organization.
He's so excited over there.
I know, man.
All right, let's make some picks and then we'll get on with it. Who do we got? Who's gonna win?
Who's going to be the 7 seed
Yep.
in the NFC and
Let's
AFC?
Let's see.
Who's going to be the 7 seed? Oh, I think the Packers will win against Detroit. So they're in a win-in situation. They're the Sunday night game now, and I think they will win and get in, and then they will get demolished by whoever they play.
Aaron Rodgers always. He's just clutch and people don't like it.
I don't care about the NFC. So Steelers are gonna get in. We're gonna get a little help by the Dolphins. Patriots gonna lose.
I'll put a bet on that if you want to.
I'm going with him, though, because the Patriots play the Bills,
Yep.
and the Dolphins are on their 3rd string quarterback.
Yep.
So
Oh,
there is a path
okay.
there.
Maybe I won't make that bet then.
then.
Well,
Straight
yeah,
for you to go to the bet.
They could get there, but okay. So predictions for the Super Bowl? Is that what we want to do?
No,
Not
it's
yet.
too
Not
early.
yet?
Yeah,
Too
too early.
early?
Yeah, because we don't know yet.
Okay,
Yeah, let's
I kind of like the idea, but
I think we should talk about the national championship a little bit. As far as the NCAA football, TCU defeats Michigan in an upset. I think Michigan was picked by over a touchdown, and then Georgia squeaked out a victory against Ohio State on a last-second field goal that Ohio State missed. But one of the game, they were down by 14 in the fourth quarter. So we got Georgia, TCU in the final. I haven't seen the spread. I'm sure Georgia's favored by probably double digits.
Not sure, but how about Max Duggan, the starting quarterback for TCU, was not the starter at the beginning of the year. Starter went down first game of the year, and he was the starter the previous 3 years, but he's from Lewis Central. From Iowa.
Yeah, Council Bluffs.
Cool.
Yep, Council Bluffs, Lewis Central, and he's
I love a good.
And he runner up in the Heisman voting.
Yeah,
too,
man,
so.
he's really turned it on, but he wasn't even after fall camp wasn't even the starter for game
Talk
one.
about season and opportunity.
Yeah, crazy.
I'm gonna go with TCU then.
You're gonna go with TCU, Iowa boy.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna pick the favorite. Georgia's gonna win again.
Yeah, Georgia's going to roll.
I could see Georgia like big rolling. So
I think Georgia
unfortunately-
had their wake up call with Ohio State.
Agreed.
And they're gonna roll. But
We'll see.
All right, before we wrap up sports, we haven't had an episode on here in like 4 weeks. And in those 4 weeks, we have an Iowa State quarterback starting for the San
yeah.
Francisco 49ers and has been undefeated.
Nice.
So shout out to Brock Purdy from Iowa State,
Looking pretty.
yeah,
Repping
that's
the-
awesome.
repping Iowa for us.
Throwing
in
to
the
George
NFL.
Kittle.
Yeah, there
from
we
Iowa,
go.
tight end from Iowa. Yeah, it's kind of crazy to see the Iowa players and connections in the NFL, and it's awesome to see that, especially an Iowa State quarterback. I can't remember one playing. Seneca Wallace
Yep.
played for the Seattle. He maybe started like a couple games, but
Clause
other than
number
that,
15.
I'm biased. Midwesterners are the best. They just work hard. They just get where they want to go. All right. That was good. We'll hold you to that pick. You guys, Georgia, me, TCU. So let's get into little dollars and cents.
dollar bills, y'all.
All right, 2023. The guys don't like this. They hate when I ask them personal questions. They're literally, if you ever watch this, they are shivering like
Squirming in our seats.
I'm like,
over here.
and I love it. I'm like, new year, new intentions, new goals. Let's talk about it. So let's hear it. Cole, who should I pick on first? Peterson, what's your goal for 2023? Give me a personal goal.
All right, so I would like to work out and sleep a little bit better.
Okay.
Work out more, sleep better. But also, I think me and Molly will hopefully set aside one night a month where we do a date night.
Oh, I like that. That's cute.
That's
Shout out
that's
Molly.
my goal.
Molly's like, what night? Where are we going?
Yeah, where are we going? What are we doing?
What am I going to wear?
Yeah. And you know what? The working out more might help to sleep more. That's pretty impactful.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
I've heard
yeah.
that's a correlation.
Yes, it is. Cole J, what do you got?
Yeah, I have, I have two, and we're going personal here. I have many goals, but personal wise, first one is to try to have more control on my schedule. Sometimes our days run us versus us running our days. And, my goal is to average being home by 6 p.m. or earlier.
What's that average right now?
Yeah, it's not great. I got a lot. It goes in waves. And my poor wife, she was like, "Hey, when are you gonna be home?" And I'm like, "I don't ask. I don't know." I'm trying, but that's. I just got to be more diligent on that, and that's been something I've been talking about for the last month. So I need to make it happen. And then other one, this is a quantitative thing. Is my wife and I kind of a joint goal here is to have 3 family meals dinners per week. We just kind of are on the go, lugging
that.
kids all over, and it's like connection, and you talk about being
Yes.
present. And that's one that her and I continue, and it's easier over the winter when it's crap, when the weather's crappy and everyone's home, it's dark at 5. But in the summer, when you're out and about running kids to sports, you kind of forget that sometimes, some of that connection time, and I think that's important for us.
It's also easier when you're home to have dinner together. No.
Yeah, I know. That's some of my fault.
Chelsea,
No.
I got your back.
How about you?
Oh, we're going to me. I just want to say those were great goals. I have a lot as well. I'm not going to share them all because some are personal, but I want to start lifting more. I used to lift a lot, and just this
Getting
last
swole?
well, just muscle. You just feel like I can't cuss on the podcast. You just feel awesome when you lift, and I just feel better. And last year was crazy, and then I listen to a lot of books and I listen to a lot of podcasts, but I want to intentionally read pages 10 to 15 minutes a day. I have an attention span issue, as you guys know, so I like to go fast. So that's going to be important for me to just sit down, open a book, and read it.
I think that would be good for you.
There's been many studies actually on intelligence and actually physically reading.
Yeah.
And it's like a direct correlation to people who read, like physically read. Like there's a difference between reading and listening to an audiobook, right?
I love engaging in the books and all that. It's just like taking the time and sitting still and not like going to pick up the house or something. You know what I mean? So that would be good.
I made that a goal last year. Is I get the paper every day, and like that's the first thing I do before I turn on my computer. Before I do anything, I look through the paper just to get some of that reading in, get caught up on things,
Ground yourself.
It's been good. Caleb, how about you?
Let's hear it, young man.
Yeah, my goal for this year is to buy a house.
Oh, big goals. I love that. That's great.
Awesome.
I know. Got a baby on the way, so that's my goal for the years.
Is there a deadline on this house buying? Is it before the baby, after the baby?
Before the baby would be optimal, but we're not like we must be in the house by the time the baby's born.
You want the right house. Don't rush it for a house.
Exactly. So the goal would be yes to be in the house before, but if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out.
When's the baby due again?
End of April.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
you got
Okay.
time.
So
What actionable steps are you taking to make this goal possible?
saving lots of money
Good.
and working on building my credit score.
There you
That's the two actionable steps I'm taking.
go. Yeah.
Good job.
We'll
Yeah.
keep our eyes out open for you. No, I think it's important to hear our goals. I know the guys don't like talking about themselves, but like I feel like when you are intentional, and they're maybe not goals, just being intentional for the year, you fill up your cup, and when you fill up your cup, you can be better for everyone else, and you feel better for everyone else. So I'm gonna hold you guys to this. I told them I wouldn't do it, but we'll evaluate this at the end of the year.
All right.
I love it.
All right, so we're gonna kind of go on the same path. I'm a client of yours. It's 2023. What goals? Because that's what we do. We talk about money. What money goals should I start with? What do you look at in the beginning of the year? Like, what are some things I can focus on?
Yeah, I think the first thing, and I kind of touched on this earlier, but being intentional on reviewing everything that you have and what you're doing. A lot of changes going on with taxes, retirement savings, rules, all kinds of stuff. So first and foremost, just go and check what your contribution rates are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that'd be an easy, what am I saving in my 401k? Can I do another 1%? Can I do another 2%? That'd be first and foremost. That'd be the first thing I'd start with on it. And we're doing that right now with a lot of clients because the IRA contributions are there's more dollars, more allowance in there for next year. So we're going, and people that are doing automatic monthly contributions, we're calling, making and saying, hey, you got an extra 30, whatever it is, $30 a month you can save or whatever in that retirement account.
No, that's great. I know Cole sent out a ton of emails and reached out like, hey, you're contributing this much. Would you like to? And that's important because I think some people will just stay at that contribution. I contribute 200 or 405, and that's what I've contributed my whole life. And statistically, you'll get paid more each year, so you pay yourself, save more. So that's a great start.
I have people that still contribute $50 a month to a Roth IRA that they've been doing since, Roth IRAs started in the 90s. And so, that's something that I encourage people to do is just increase it. Even if it's $10, $20 a month, it's going to add up over time.
Pay yourself first.
Yep.
All right. What's another actionable step I can do?
I think a couple of things that we talk to clients about a lot and that get put off and kind of put on the back burner are, they go kind of hand in hand, is wills, to set up your will. Actually, have an attorney draw it up, sign it. Some people get wills drawn up, they don't sign
have the
them,
conversation, right? There's conversation with your spouse. Because there's a lot of times,
change.
Things change. So having the conversation is the hardest part too.
Yeah,
it forces you to do that.
Along with that, we have a lot of people that did their will in 1988 after they had kids and haven't had it reviewed in a long time, and they don't know what it says. So that's another thing. But along with that, I think the life insurance is a big, and not to go back to the Damar Hamlin thing, but it makes people think of that. And we've had some things happen in the area where people at a young age have passed
Very
away.
Unexpected and crazy stories, and you don't. It can happen to anyone.
I know.
Yeah. So get with your life insurance agent, get with your financial advisor, whoever you go to, and know what you have. If it's a term, when it expires.
Is it enough coverage?
Is it enough coverage? How much does it cover? Because you may have taken out a 30-year term 20 years ago. Well, you made a lot less money 20 years ago, and maybe that's not a significant amount. I mean, I have people that come in sometimes and they have $100,000 worth of life insurance and they make $80,000 a year, and I'm like, well, that's
1 year
doesn't replace much.
Yeah. Right. That was significant 20 years ago when you only made $20,000 a year, but now it's not. We need to upgrade that.
It's just a great time to evaluate. Like, is my will set? Like, if something happens to me today, are my belongings going where? Is my money taken care of? Is the kids taken care of? If I die, unfortunately, life insurance, are my family going to be? It's just a good time to think about that stuff because it's so easy once the January goes through. I feel like everyone goes back to normal and they're like, oh, I was going to add that contribution or I was going to do that. I mean, how many people have we heard that say, oh, I was going to do that will, I just never got to it.
Yep. Happens all the time. So I think another one that we talked about and you're really big on for people is developing a budget.
I love a good budget. Cole J, did you have? Is that
No,
what
that's
you're gonna say?
exactly what I was going to transition to Bailey because she loves her budgeting talk. So I was like, you took it out of my mouth. I was like, let's kick it to her and make her talk about the budgeting.
You know, we have this a lot. People come in, and I'm not picking on clients, and I mean people who make a lot of money. All people of all incomes do this. I don't know where my money is. I don't know how I spend it. Like,
I don't know where it's going.
yeah, I don't know where it's going, or I was paying for this. And this is what I do, and you can make fun of me. I have a monthly budget. I use an app. So like a week ago, I sat down and I went through each month and I could see what I spent because I track it, and I sit down and I annually plug it in for 2023. Like there's things you don't think about, your tags, your insurance, like school tuition. And
those recurring,
yeah,
subscriptions.
Christmas shopping is not an unexpected expense. It's coming every year. Like I hear people all the time like, oh, I have to spend so much money on Christmas. I'm like, you didn't know in January Christmas was going to be at the end of the year. And I'm not being mean. I'm not. But I'm a true believer. Like,
you're ruthless.
I know. They think I'm so mean. I think it's so helpful. Like I think
very helpful.
I think people think a budget is restriction, where I think it's actually freeing, and you can actually tell your money what to do versus your money telling you what it's doing. So fixed expenses, all that good stuff. What would you guys do for a budget?
I would say on top of that, the most successful people that we know as far as saving for retirement have a budget.
Yeah.
And they know where their money's going, and they know why they can save more, why they can't save more. And they can tell you like, hey, my pay got cut 3% this year, so I've got to go down in my contribution because it only leaves me this much at the end of the month.
Correct.
So, that's something that I think is makes people very successful.
Yeah. And on top of that, just making sure your emergency fund's in place, just, you know what, like you know exactly kind of where you're going to make. You can go off what you made last year and then just base this off that. That's what I do. Caleb, did you do your budget this year for the house? Because you got to start expensing all these house things in. It's a change.
I haven't done a whole year of a budget, but I've done like 4 months of a budget.
That's impressive though. So, most people your age don't.
Simple action step here. I'm all about my action steps, but think of this as a common thing that we see a lot of successful people do or talk about. They don't say this directly this way, but they subconsciously think about their spending decisions as a liability, or is it going to be an asset to me? Is it like an asset would be your retirement savings, right? That's an asset you're building. A liability would be you going out to dinner every night, because that money's going right out the door. So those are things of like when you're making conscious decisions of like thinking like, is it a discretionary spend? Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Not saying going out to dinner is a bad thing, but subconsciously you start budgeting makes you kind of do that. You look at the numbers like, we don't really need to spend $100 a week on DoorDash. That's my house. That's a plug in my house.
Yeah, I was like, there goes goals.
Or whatever it is. But it's, you make those decisions that way. And that's a common thing I see people that accumulate a lot of wealth. They do a lot of things subconsciously that are that way. And
it's not saying that DoorDash might not be important. If you're valuing more time getting home, it might mean I don't make lunches anymore. But you know what I mean? At least
we're trying to eat at home, though.
Yeah,
we're trying to sit down dinners, not on the go dinners.
Who said Chelsea had to cook it? Or Cole? Because this is 2023.
I grill.
Yeah. Anyways, I think it's great. All right. Now I'm going to put you guys on the spot. Ready? You weren't ready for this. What is one business goal you have for the year? Oh, they are going to be shocked because they didn't know I was going to ask this. It could be something about your client, something you want to do this year in your practice, something you want to evolve in. I'm going to give you a second because you guys didn't know this question was coming.
Tell me yours.
I want to pass the Series 24. Quick.
God, good for you.
That would help the whole office, I believe.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
We might need to take a break.
I'll give them a second to keep thinking. I'll give mine.
Yeah,
My goal is that this room, the podcast studio, would represent half of my work week.
That's awesome. You would kill it.
Eventually, the goal is for it to be my full work week. I just don't know if that's feasible in 1 year. Mm-hmm. So my goal is to say that half my work week would be represented by this room.
Mm-hmm.
I got mine. I would like us as a team that we're working on this 401k plan. I would like us to bring on three to five 401k plans during the year.
What does that mean?
So getting a business to change either their agent of record on their 401k plan or start a 401k plan with us, either way, that we would help their employees and the employer with their 401k plan instead of either some other advisor or not having one.
Because we feel like if your plan's in Fort Dodge, and we've talked about this, we could provide exceptional service to your plan.
Right.
a great goal.
Right. And your employees
Yeah.
is the big thing is your employees, the value that we can bring being local, I think is better than someone that is sitting somewhere else, some other town, or maybe not an advisor that you even know.
Yeah, maybe you don't even know who's on your plan.
Yeah, that does happen.
I had to think of two there because my mind went to the 401k side because we are working. And that's the cool thing about our group and our team. I think, a plug for that was that it's cool that was the first goal you thought of was part of the group. So I had something similar to that, but personally, on kind of myself individually, I would say add 12 ideal clients. And I'm not going to go what an ideal client is to me, but that's something that I do. Add one ideal client for me a month. I obviously want more clients than that, but we have certain parameters in our business of what we describe as an ideal client. And that's something, if I add one a month, it's going to be a value add long-term to my team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, like, when we talk about all these action steps and there's systems in place, and I know these guys do a great job, like Cole just spitting out the team goal right away. Like, Cole's always thinking of the team. Like, Cole J knows this. Cole Peterson's always like, what can we do as an office? Like, and it's awesome to see. You kind of hold everyone accountable and you try and help everyone grow and not just yourself. So that's awesome.
We're all trying at CFG. We want to build, we're building for the future. We're building for the next 20 to 30 years. We're not building for the next 2 to 5 years and planning on doing something different after that.
Yeah. Cole J, I bet you get more than 12.
New year, new energy.
Yeah.
New
energy to the podcast.
Well, if we bring on our 401k business, that's where I might occupy some time there. So it just depends.
Yeah.
It's an adjustable goal if I need to be.
Yeah. They're always, you can always pivot them a little bit, but that's great. I appreciate you guys sharing your stuff. I know you don't love to do that. I know you could talk money and sports all day and not about yourselves, but I know the listeners appreciate it. Cole J's laughing because he's like, I know, I don't like talking about it.
We're getting closer. We're trending to the peak of winter into golf season here. In 2 or 3 months, it'll be back to full golf again. So
Bailey and Caleb can't wait for us to start talking about golf.
Oh, yeah.
Again.
During golf season, often they come in and the conversation starts with golf. Often.
No, you're not in the office in the morning when they're hashing it back out. Like, oh, did you see me on hole 6? And I would have nailed that putt. But the green wasn't. Yeah, the greens weren't that soft. And I'm like, oh my gosh, these poor wives.
All right. So, new year, bigger things coming.
Yeah.
What are some big things coming to How to Money with Cole and Cole?
I think just better content, don't you think? And better guests. We got a list of guests we sat down. I think we have a
I
special.
wouldn't say better guests. I would just say,
Best guests.
keeping
keeping
a consistent routine with our guest lineup.
We have an exciting one. John Engler will be our first returning guest next episode. I'm excited for him. He's going to talk about getting your will done in the beginning of the year, getting organized. And all
Great
that
transition there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I would agree that having guests on and bringing up topics that maybe we haven't done yet too. That we feel like we talk about retirement savings obviously a lot because that's what our forte is, but doing some other subjects that we haven't covered yet is exciting also.
Yeah, and then we always have great events throughout the year. Like we have a tax seminar coming up in March. We'll probably have a Social Security Medicare event, all types of things educational for the clients. We have our 401k campaign. Reach out to us if that's something you're interested. But yeah, a lot of good stuff. And then hopefully Caleb will have a baby in a house soon. So
that's the goal.
All right. You ready for the quote of the day? Start off 2023. Success isn't owned, it's leased, and rent is due every day. JJ Watt.
I love it. Go Cubs.
You've been listening to How to Money with Cole and Cole, the podcast of the Central Financial Group, courtesy of Spin Market. To learn more, visit their website at www.centralfinancialgroup.com and follow them on all their social media platforms.
For now, I'm Cole.
And I'm Cole.
And we'll see you on the greens.
4.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associations Incorporated, member FINRA, SIPC. Royal Alliance Associations Incorporated is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Royal Alliance Associations Incorporated. Material discussed is meant for general informational purposes only, and it is not to be construed as tax, legal, or investment advice. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. Diversification does not insure against loss. Any guarantees discussed refer only to fixed insurance products and are backed by the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company.